Okay, good morning. So we are going to proceed from where we stopped last time. However, still I get ready for the practicals. Maybe we shall go through the theory and then do the questions, then can do the practicals sometime. So we ended on, we looked at this last time, setup company and debugging the database statistics section. We have recovery from publishing failures. So if you're publishing an extension within Visual Studio, Visual Studio Code, and it fails, so the publishing tries to restore any previously installed extensions that were uninstalled and unpublished as part of the failed publishing. So you publish some time back, then when you try to publish it, I think this has happened, to bring some errors. So it tries to restore the previous one that you you published. So if a full restore fails, then the developer is informed about which extensions could be restored and which ones failed, providing the developer with a better overview. Sometimes you publish and it actually can remove some extensions in case they are failures, especially if maybe publishing base, the one that is being depended on. If you publish, can remove all the other extensions that instance. So when deploying an extension from VS Code, the first level dependent extensions are uninstalled and unpublished to be recompiled once the extension has been deployed. So I think most of us have faced this. But when you publish an extension, it is especially one that is that has dependence, and it fails from Visual Studio Code. All the other extensions can be unpublished. So you need to first publish this one and then you go and publish the dependents. However, they are saying that some cases in which recovery can fail. I gave 3 upgrade scenarios. For example, when publishing a version 2.0 of an app over 1.0, I think this is when you're using the app, publishing using the app. This but if you're using Visual Studio to publish, then it might not affect. So extension changes that cause tables or table extensions to be moved between apps. Then there are bugs in the install or uninstall code units of any affected extensions. Bugs, some cases in which recovery can fail. Okay, they are talking about Visual Studio itself. This first statement that we looked at. Okay.
Mouse controller is the touchpad.
I'm sick. Are you still in the screen? Hey, I think we can see now. Can we see the screen? Yes. Okay. Yes. So, let us look at this debug and attach configurations. So in this case, the summary of this one is okay. The debug is attached to either an existing running session or to the next session for the specific user. Is set up by specifying a session ID or user ID in the log.json attached configuration file. So here you have a given user is in maybe Business Central. Maybe you have Alan as logged in Business Central. Then I'm the debug. I want to debug. So I use Alan's session and the user ID. If it is on-prem, I can even use the username, your username. Maybe like for us, we normally have HRP. So HRP can be like your username in the launch file. So your user ID, you put HRP, and then the session ID you can normally get it in the URL. There is that session ID, so you get it and copy. So it's like you're using somebody's other session and user ID to debug, not specifically your own. So they also say that there is a new attached debugging permission set, which is available across to allow the cross-user debugging. Cross-user, you're another user, but you want to debug from another person's session. So only the user who starts Visual Studio Code attached session can issue a web request on the server. You who has the Visual Studio and you've put the ID of another user, you're the one who can request a session from the other user who was logged in Business Central. And so you can activate the attach functionality by creating a new configuration in the launch.json. The configuration has two flavors: attached to the client on the cloud sandbox. That's one. And then the attached to client on your server. So you can use the first option to attach to a cloud session if you're using cloud session, and the second option it is when you are on-prem or local server, they attach client on your server. So with Business Central 2023 release wave 2, we see what something shall look forward. 2 new properties were added to the launch configuration. So meaning this one is not an older implementation or configuration. It is new, just recent. It was introduced recently in BC, Business Central 2023 release wave 1. Might be around Business Central 20 or to 30, can be to 30, I think. Yeah. These new 2 properties in the launch configuration, that is the session ID and the user ID, which allow attaching to an ongoing session and also debugging on behalf of another user. So in the attached configuration, the break on next setting specifies the next client to break on when the debugging session starts and allows only one option. So the available options are web service client. You have the web client and then the background. So this break on next is also a configuration in the launch.json, which you set also for the debug, where the debugger is going to be. Maybe the person is in the web. The web, normally when we are using the web, you're going to debug in the web. So I can set break on the next to be the web client. Or it needs to be is a web service client. Web service client can be a role tailored, I think. Not very sure about this one. The web service client. The web client, I know it is in the web. Then background, it is the background. It sets up a background session, just like you can see down here. It's saying the debugger can connect to background sessions. Background sessions are not background tasks. It creates a background session to which it connects to. Though I did not test them out practically. These are 3 options. However, I will test them in the future. So we can also look at this implementing a snapshot debugging. So this is a common support scenario for us consultants. Maybe you are contacted by a customer with an issue and which they need to troubleshoot. Maybe NICE has a client that they are working on. There is a customer, and then they get an error. Then they call you the consultant to support on that issue. So for you, maybe you don't know the issue and you need to debug. So this snapshot debugging helps you to find the cause, to debug in production. To use the snapshot debugging to debug out the issue in production without having to create a copy of a company, which can take a lot of time. And yet the customer might be waiting there for the client. So Microsoft has introduced the ability to attach Visual Studio Code AL debugger to a production tenant to take snapshots of code execution, allow rapid investigation and collaboration with the customer on exact reproduction steps. So with this new snapshot feature, you can set snap points in the code. So a snap point is like a breakpoint in Visual Studio Code, just like Visual Studio Code has breakpoints. So the snap point is like a breakpoint in Visual Studio Code that is set when creating a snapshot. However, for them, they don't stop execution of code, just like the break does. Breakpoint stops execution of the code, but snap point does not. It just records whenever you put a snap point, it records that point and puts it in the the snapshot that you're going to download. Because normally whenever you put the snap point, it goes on recording those what happens there, and when because you shall be seeing that you have to download this and then navigate, you find out what is happening. So whenever this snapshot is, it will show us it will show us in the downloaded file. So here they are saying create a new snapshot attach configuration. This could be a web client, web API, or a background session by specifying a user ID or session ID. No selection UI or user interface yet. So they're saying attach to an environment in snapshot mode, perform the production steps to trigger the snap points, then download here where we are downloading. You download now the snap point in Visual Studio Code after completing the reproduction. So these snap points are the ones that you're going to check to find where the issue was. So the more snap points you set, the more it helps you to find out the cause of the issue that the client is facing. So after there, you're going to inspect the stack trace or program execution and variables at snap points offline in Visual Studio Code. So you don't, we know that when you're setting breakpoints, you do it there and then, breakpoint in Visual Studio Code. As you're debugging, it breaks and then you check where it is breaking from. You check whether there is any issue there. If it is not there, you continue. You press the debugger to continue. It reaches another another breakpoint. It stops. Then you can check out. However, for the snap point, when I set like 5 snap points, it will go on recording those snap points, and then when you download and go to Visual Studio Code, it will show you whenever the snap point was, and you can be able to inspect from Visual Studio Code offline. The snapshot debugging, we record the AL code as it runs on the server, but we only collect variable information on snap points or AL exceptions. So this is also important, that the snap point, the snapshot debugging will only collect configurations where snap points are set. You take snap points as breakpoints. Only where snap points are set, that's where you're going to download and find out. So in your own wisdom, you know that I want to check this point and this point and this point. So when you run this debugger, it will run through those points, and then when you download to Visual Studio offline, you will see wherever you set that snap point, and you will be able to check each of them offline. Yeah. So here I tried to show you some. Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, so that's another meeting. However, here you can see that the other two that we looked at, they initialize the snapshot debugging session on the cloud, and then initialize a snapshot debugging session, the server. So you added them, but we shall see them in a practical way.
We see those things. That's the snapshot and so that's
I think Friday. Or might not be possible.
Okay, guys, I think that's it for today. I have another meeting coming up in 1 minute, and Kim is using my machine. So we shall proceed from there tomorrow.